Hello and welcome to the YouTube channel for Catch. My name is Sam and I am the founder and lead coach here at Catch. Unshakable confidence is the key to getting everything that you want in life and dating. So on this channel we talk about everything to do with confidence, mindset and how to utilise that in your dating and relationship life. If you want to work with us in any way, all of that information is in the description box below. In this video, we're going to be talking about how your beliefs create your dating life. And we've done a few videos which allude to this, which I'll link down below. So one about, or the title's called All Men Are Afraid of Commitment, and it talks about how beliefs are self-fulfilling, so focusing on the negative isn't helpful, and how we're responsible for our own dating life, and that's because of the beliefs and the perceptions we allow ourselves to entertain and how we play into dynamics based on those beliefs and how we see ourselves and the world around us, and therefore can recreate dynamics. And we actually did 2 videos recently on how patterns are formed in our lives generally, but we can see them play out in dating, whereby either things fall apart after 1 date or 3 dates or a few months or a couple of years, or we can attract the same kind of people again and again and create similar dynamics. And the common link between all of those videos and what we're trying to get across is ultimately that our beliefs create our dating life, and how we can deliberately choose our beliefs and our assumptions and our perceptions internally and by using external inspiration to create a change in any area of our lives, and that includes our dating life. And that's because our beliefs and our self-image, so how we see ourselves, which links to beliefs, because often how we see the world is an interpretation or through a filter of our beliefs or how we see ourselves. So when people say things like, all men are afraid of commitment, or women only want guys who with 6-packs and who earn 6-figure incomes, what they're actually saying is, in my experience, I have not been able to get commitment with men on a few occasions, and the reason they've given me is they don't want commitment, or they've seen that with immediate friends. Or on the flip side, I've observed women or been rejected by women who have said that they want someone with a 6-pack or a 6-figure income, or I've observed them not progress things with someone like me because that's what they're looking for. So even how we can see the world and assumptions that we can make are generalizations that we make based on our own personal experience. And it's not to say that that's wrong or a bad thing. Everyone's entitled to their own beliefs and how they see the world and their own self-image. But what's key is understanding how those beliefs that we choose to keep focusing on and assumptions that we keep focusing on and perceptions are a reflection of our self-image. And because of the confirmation bias that exists within our brain, the more we entertain those things and focus on those things, we will ignore information without even realizing it subconsciously that doesn't align with those beliefs. And we will focus in on and often get triggered by information that does reaffirm those beliefs. So what that means is that our beliefs and our self-image, which are closely intertwined, inform our assumptions and our perceptions, so how we see the world around us and what that means about us and how the world works. And remember that our brains are always looking for cheat codes, right? That we're always looking for, okay, this means this, because that's going to keep us safe. So that we're always looking for patterns and beliefs to help us understand the world. And then because we see the world in a certain way, we then behave in a certain way. So we respond to situations based on those beliefs. So for example, one we hear often is, you need to play hard to get and play games to get someone to like you. If we adopt that as a belief, then when we meet someone new, we're going to play hard to get and play games. Or if we deep down have a belief that we're not good enough, or struggle to believe that we are good enough for, say, commitment, we might then be very confident in the first initial stages of dating, but when it approaches commitment, because we don't feel good enough deep down, insecure behaviours or an insecure attachment style starts to arise, and we start to behave in a way that either tries to force that commitment early to get that security, or pushes it away to stop us getting hurt. So you can see how very conscious beliefs that we've formed from our experiences, or even subconscious beliefs that we've picked up over time, like the one around playing hard to get, we might have heard it so much that we don't even realise we have it, will subconsciously play hard to get with new people. So it affects our behaviours, and then that affects our outcomes. So because we have certain beliefs, that's affected our attachment style. We've been insecure with a partner and subconsciously pushed them away because we've been too needy or clingy, or we've sabotaged that connection because we're scared of getting hurt. So it then becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, commitment's hard to come by. I don't know if I'm worthy of commitment. Insecure behaviours manifest, and then the outcome is that, you know, commitment probably won't happen. And then we can look around again and go, see, you know, commitment's hard to come by, or see, men don't want commitment. And that isn't necessarily true. And we can probably name 20 people around us who are in happy, committed relationships and love being in that circumstance or point in their life. But the belief still becomes, oh, men or women don't want commitment, or they only want it with this kind of person, because of the combination of some experience, some external influences, or being told things by other people, confirmation bias, then affecting our behaviours and creating that outcome. So then it becomes a cycle. And sometimes we don't even know we're doing it. And we'll go to our friends and family and go, why can't I meet someone? Why does it always end up this way? Why do I never know where I stand? Why do I keep attracting these a-holes? Or, you know, why can't I find someone, etc. Like we go around and then we start telling everybody and asking, you know, why isn't it working out for me? Without necessarily seeing how the beliefs we've allowed ourselves to adopt and are focusing on are playing into that situation. Whereas on the flip side, and we did another video called Why Players Are Successful, you've got people who, regardless of what they've experienced, have decided, you know what, I'm going to be successful with men, I'm going to be successful with women, I'm going to be successful in my career. And because of that, they make it happen. You know, they decide, look, even if I'm not the best looking, I'm funny. So that humour has a lot of value. So I'm going to be able to get whoever I want by being funny. Or I'm going to go to the gym and build that really good body. And that's what I'm going to do to attract people. Or you know what, I add a lot of value because I'm very kind. So that's what's going to make me successful in business or in relationships. And it's not that that person is any better or worse than anyone else. They just have the belief in themselves. They believe in what they bring to the table. They believe in their worth and their value, and therefore they create it in that area of their life. The great thing is, by understanding that our beliefs create our dating life and how our brain works around this, we can then start to consciously choose the beliefs that we have, the beliefs that we hold, the perceptions that we have, and then create that positive self-fulfilling prophecy rather than some of the negative cycles we may have got stuck into. And we can also use self-awareness to understand where even beliefs that we don't know we have show up in our behaviours and our thoughts and how we're interpreting situations, to keep uncovering and eliminating some of those limiting beliefs that are keeping us stuck where we are. And we can break through them and create different beliefs, different perceptions, different behaviours, and a different outcome. So hopefully you're following me so far. So just to break this down into a bit more detail, firstly, what are beliefs? As I mentioned, beliefs are what we understand about us and the world around us and our part in that world. So they effectively become rules for how reality works for us. They're often based on experience, what we personally had happen to us, but also what we have observed when we're younger, observed or experienced at any point in life actually, but particularly when we're young, up until around the age of 7, we're absorbing lots of information. So what we observe or experience up till the age of 7 can have a lot of influence on our adult way of viewing the world. And our beliefs can also be shaped by conditioning. So what other people are telling us, and that can be religion or culture, political beliefs, it can be what our parents tell us about how the world works. And especially when we're younger, we look at authority figures like our parents or teachers at school or adults, and we assume, like, we don't have our own critical thinking skills yet. So we assume that everything that they say or what they're doing is the truth, and we just adopt that because we're told that that's the truth. And so we see that a lot in dating around the roles of men and women in relationships, or, you know, how men or women work and those sorts of things. As I also mentioned, beliefs are very closely interlinked with our self-image. So often when we say, this is how something works, what we're really saying is, this is what's happened to me, and this is what I've seen work or observed, or maybe I've seen a whole range of things, but I've decided because of my beliefs that this is what is true for me. So using that commitment example, most of your friends might be married, but because maybe you're not married or in a committed relationship, the belief becomes, oh, commitment is hard to come by. Or maybe your parents weren't together growing up, so then a belief forms that commitment is hard to come by, or you can't trust into commitment, for example. And it's really important to understand that, even though it's difficult, because that understanding that a lot of our beliefs are shaped by experience, whether, you know, right or wrong, I'm not discrediting anyone's experience, but just understanding that that's where a lot of it comes from, means that we can start to challenge those beliefs that are getting in our own way and change them. And so although it can be hard to accept that a lot of those beliefs are learned and don't have to be true and are our truth or our opinions than necessarily the objective truth, the easier it will be to change those beliefs and get something new. So ask yourself, what's more important, getting what I want or being attached to these beliefs? Because some of these beliefs as well have kept us safe for a long time and free from hurt and pain where we've been hurt in the past. But that might be the exact thing that's between where you are now and getting what you want. So ask yourself, what's more important? Is it having this belief or getting what I want? And it might feel scary to change the belief, but that's what will make the difference. So it's up to you. So why are beliefs important? Well, as I indicated or talked about earlier on in the video, our beliefs create our perception. And then because of confirmation bias, we start to ignore evidence to the contrary, which then creates our behaviours and how we respond to situations and eventually the outcome. And the reason that happens is, and I think I mentioned this earlier as well, our brain and our body love safety, and they'll do anything that they can to keep us safe. And because of that, they're always looking for rules in our reality and in our environment. So, you know, if I go back to caveman times, if I hear a roar, that's a lion, I need to get away. And then that becomes a rule, right? A roar sound means that a lion is nearby, I need to get away to protect my life. And that then becomes what we call a neural pathway, or that belief embeds as a neural pathway, or that's that chain of events. So then next time you hear a roar, your body will kick in and you'll start to run the other way, away from the perceived threat, before you've even consciously thought about it. So when we've experienced something a few times or made a decision about something or formed a belief about something, it embeds as a neural pathway so that our body can respond quicker than we need to consciously think. And the reason for that is that it keeps us safe physically, like safe from threats, safe from danger, but it also helps us interpret the world around us with very minimal effort, so we can respond very quickly. So in a way, that's a very helpful life-saving mechanism within our body. But at the same time, it means that we can jump to conclusions and respond to something automatically without even really realizing where it's coming from, what's driving that response, or necessarily challenging the behavior and whether that's appropriate for the situation, especially when we're triggered. So when we have a belief, it embeds as I say, in the neural pathways and creates automatic responses. And because of that, it affects everything about how we see the world around us and how we interpret the world, because all of these rules operate at a subconscious level in the back of our minds. So as we're walking around, we respond to everything in our environment based on that set of neural pathways. And a lot of them, as I say, are very helpful in keeping us safe and able to respond very quickly to perceived danger. But it also can create rules based on very minimal information, or information based on limited personal experiences rather than what we want or what others have experienced to save us from physical or emotional pain. Therefore, to change the outcome, we have to bring awareness to those beliefs so that we can change the belief, bring awareness to the automatic thoughts and behaviours that are driving how we're responding to situations, change the belief, change the behaviour, and get a different outcome. So that's why beliefs are so important, why they affect our life so much. And we can change our experiences in dating and in all areas of life and our outcomes, but we need to change first. And if this is helpful, we do actually have a workbook available on our website, which again we'll link in the description box below, which talks about some of the most common beliefs that we see that get in the way of dating. So we'll go through in this video so how can we change our beliefs? Well, the first thing that we want to do is understand and identify the beliefs that are getting in our way. And the way that we can identify those is observing our behaviour and our inner talk and our perceptions of things and our reactions to things from an observer lens. So taking a step out of the situation. When you're triggered, when you want to react to something in an urgent or emotional way, what is it that's creating that fear inside of you that's causing you to be triggered? What is it that you're worried could happen? And what is it that makes you want to respond in that way? Because that will reveal, by analysing your behaviour, what beliefs you've got. So for example, if you always notice that when you meet someone you like, you feel fearful, and you start to observe your inner thoughts, it might be because other people have told you that, oh, it doesn't work out with the people you like, it's only the people that you're not that into early on that works out. So when you meet someone you like, you automatically assume it's not going to work. Or you have read advice that you have to play hard to get, but that isn't your usual style, and so you feel like you have to change yourself to attract this person in, and therefore that is what is giving you fear. So look at, especially when you're triggered, but generally when there's a situation that you're trying to figure out how to respond to it, what is making you want to respond in that way and why? And start to jot down your beliefs. Fears and doubts are also quite helpful here. So not just when you're triggered in a moment, but when do doubts pop up? When do fears pop up? Because those tend to be the negative limiting beliefs that are getting in the way in dating. And angry feelings can reflect that as well. So often sometimes what we see with people in dating who aren't getting the outcomes they want is because of past pain and rejection, they create these negative beliefs about dating relationships or men and women, like we talked about earlier, about commitment or what kind of men women want. And although completely objectively that might have been their experience, there's also millions of men and women in committed relationships who are with different kinds of people, right? And you can always find external influences or external examples where that isn't necessarily the case. So really try and understand, if you feel angry and want to blame people around you, or you feel scared, or you feel doubtful, what it is that's causing that. And similarly, if there's areas that you feel very confident in and knowing and, you know, don't have any of those doubts or fears, what is it about that makes you feel confident? So maybe you're really confident in work, and that's because you know that you're smart and you bring a lot to the table in a work context, and you've typically had success with promotions, etc. So you feel very confident in that. So you have very positive beliefs about that. So start to compare and contrast just by observing what you're thinking, how you respond to things when fear and doubt comes up. And meditation is really useful for this. I know some people are resistant to meditation. You don't necessarily have to meditate. You could just give yourself 5-10 minutes a day in the quiet, no screens, just to see what pops up. What things are you worried about? What things are you excited about? Why are you excited about them? Why do you feel confident about them? Why are you scared of them? What emotion sits around it and why? That will help identify the beliefs. And it's the ones that are more negative or tell you that you cannot have something, or you'll probably be hurt, or it probably won't work out. Those doubts and fears are the ones that you want to change and pinpoint. And your patterns can also reveal this as well. So again, we'll link to the pattern video. So sometimes it might not be your feelings or your thoughts, but it could be outcomes that keep popping up, situations that keep popping up, or dynamics that keep popping up that can inform, okay, this isn't quite working out. I'm the common denominator between several times this has popped up. And that video talks through how to then reverse back and figure out what the belief is that's causing the outcome, the behavior and the outcome. And if you're still struggling to identify what the beliefs are, we have a workbook available on our website, which is super affordable, which talks about the common beliefs that we see. So in over 90% of cases, it's a certain few beliefs that are underpinning the negative outcomes or someone not getting what they want in life and dating. So we've gone into what those beliefs are, what they look like. So if you're suffering with them, what they can look like and how they can materialize in your life and dating, and then how to change them. And it's a workbook, so you've got space to sort of fill out the exercises. So if that's of interest, that is a shortcut and very affordable. So that's available on the website and will be linked below. However, if you've been able to identify those beliefs, no problem, or at least the behavior or the outcome that isn't working for you, there's a few different ways that you can change those beliefs. And what you decide to do is just based on personal preference. So one is to use external influences. I've mentioned this a couple of times in the video previously. You will always be able to find an example of either friends, family, or celebrities who have the kind of relationship that you want or the outcome that you want. And ask yourself, what is it about them that means that they can get it and I can't? So, you know, there will be men who are not 6'5" and do not have six packs who are in relationships or married. And that's, you know, what is it about them? And it's important to ask yourself that question, because that is going against the belief that you have held internally or the story that you're telling about why something's happening. And we want to break that and show your brain that there is something else going on, and that isn't the only way that things are happening. So use those external influences to show your brain, no, it's not only one way, there are different, you know, I can have that outcome too. Then what you can do is affirm. So this is taking the positive version of the belief, like, you know, women are interested in men who are kind and respectful, or whatever trait it is that you identify with, or I am worthy and deserving of love, regardless of how I look physically. And whatever feels good to you. So you take a few statements of what you want to be true, and you're choosing to be true for you going forward, and those new beliefs, and you affirm them. What you can also do is visualize. So picture, if that belief was true for me, or I was in the place of that celebrity or that external influence, what would that look like for me? So for example, you know, if I wanted to start meeting women who didn't necessarily want a 6-figure income and a six-pack. What do I need? Well, I need to be more confident in what I can bring to the table. I need to go to places that attract those sorts of people because, you know, maybe money's not important to you personally, or you don't want a relationship that is dependent on money, or you both want to be breadwinners, not just one of you. You know, how can you create that dynamic and meet those kinds of people? And how can you have confidence in yourself without having those traits? Think about those eventualities and visualize that in your mind, affirm it to yourself. And you can do this, you know, multiple times a day or multiple times a week. Another thing you can do is just decide. This is actually a really powerful, energetic action. Just decide, nope, it's going to be different for me. I don't care if, you know, I've seen a few instances of women wanting 6'5" guys with six-packs. That's not true for me. I deserve love just as much as anyone else. I deserve commitment just as much as anyone else, and that's what I'm going to get. And I'm going to ignore any evidence to the contrary, because I am sick of being upset and focusing on the negative and focusing on things in my way. Because actually it's not logical to argue and focus on perceived limitations or things that seemingly are in the way. It makes sense to focus on the solution and getting what you want. So maybe you'll just decide, right? And then from now on, not entertain anything outside of that decision. Okay, and the final piece of advice whilst you're changing and building your beliefs is to work on emotional regulation and nervous system regulation, because as we mentioned earlier on in the video, it can occur that when you're changing your beliefs, it feels unsafe and unsettling for your brain and your body, because as we said, beliefs embed in your neural pathways, and those patterns and those rules about how reality works is to help our brain and our body predict what's going to happen and feel safer. So then changing those beliefs and believing that a different outcome can be possible can feel scary. It doesn't mean that it's not true or can't be true for you. It just means that it's new and different, and therefore can be a bit scary for our brain and our bodies. So whilst we're affirming, visualizing, doing different things in our day-to-day life, bringing about different behaviors, what we can notice is that we'll get pushback either internally, because fears and doubts, insecurities will come up and we'll feel triggered. And we can even have these experiences where old memories or observations of our old beliefs or the limiting negative beliefs come up at random times, as if to say, look, why are you believing that something good can happen? This negative thing happened before. Or we can even have people in our lives trying to keep us safe and reflecting some of those insecurities or nervousness, again, with the best will in the world to try and keep us safe. And we can often feel the energy of someone else and will say exactly what they're thinking. So it might be that when people are saying to you, oh no, why are you believing you can have that? Like, that will never happen. It's because we still have some doubt inside ourselves, and they're picking up on that and playing it back to us. So what emotional regulation helps us with is we can come back to calm and centered through meditation, going for a walk, exercising, doing EFT tapping, whatever it might be. And you might not like meditation, so just sitting in a quiet room and listening to our thoughts, seeing what pops up is quite helpful. You know, what fears and doubts pop up, what things are we excited about because we're confident about them, what things feel really good to us, just observing that, and then using our breath or any of those activities we just talked about, the gym, etc., to come back to a calm and centered place, and then go back to our decision. You know, no, we're deciding to have this. I don't care what anyone else says to me. I don't care what fears and doubts come up. I don't care what's happened in the past. I deserve this kind of relationship, this kind of career, this kind of job, and that's what I'm going to get. And even if I have to keep trying and keep refining my approach and keep building my beliefs, I want to believe that this is what I can have, and I want to create that. And so I'm going to take this risk. And by continued or perceived risk is how it feels to our body. So I'm going to continue affirming, visualizing, making it feel natural to me, and until I start to see progress internally and reflected around me, and I know that that is inevitable and that's what's going to happen for me. So whilst you're changing your beliefs, use those external influences, affirm, visualize, stay firm to that decision, But along the way, make sure that you're staying persistent, staying strong in that decision, and using emotional regulation to keep calm and consciously keep choosing that and reaffirming and reminding yourself of that direction you're going in and those new beliefs, and so you don't get distracted by emotions or other people trying to steer you off course. So I hope that that was helpful to understand why beliefs are important, why they create our dating life and all of our life really, and how we can consciously change any limiting or negative beliefs or choose positive beliefs and perceptions to then create that in our lives. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. We'd love to hear from you. Have you had any experience where you've built your beliefs and been able to achieve a certain outcome or change a dynamic in an area of your life or your dating life? Maybe you've been able to build more trust or create a certain type of relationship, or changed your beliefs about men or women or, you know, non-binary people in terms of dating and created a good outcome. We'd love to hear from you, and thank you for liking, sharing, commenting and subscribing, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks, bye.